All right, so for this section, what I'm going to need you guys to do is go to desmos.com. Okay, so desmos.com. And when you're there, you're going to click on this part that says Graphing Calculator. It says, let's learn together, right? So you click on the Graphing Calculator. It's going to send you to that screen, okay? Now, in front of you guys, you should have the piece of paper where one of the sides says Notes Linear Regression Worksheet number 1, okay? That's the one we're going to be dealing with. It's the one that has the table with a bunch of decimal values, right? 50.1, 48.3, that stuff. Not the one that talks about soda, soft drinks, okay? The other side, okay? So, if we read the question, it's going to sound really, really complicated. Let me just read it to you guys. It says, anthropologists, or actually I can show it to you here. So that's going to be the homework, which you see right now. And where is it at? Here it is. So it says, anthropologists use a linear model that relates femur length to the height. So the length of your femur to your height. It says, the model allows an anthropologist to determine the height of an individual when only a partial skeleton, including the femur, is found. In this problem, we find the model by analyzing the data on femur length and height for the 10 males given in the table. Now, that's actually incorrect. There's only 8. Okay, so I'm just going to, not that it really matters, but just so you know, there's only 8 pieces of information they gave us, okay? 8 femurs, which relate to 8 heights. So they said 10, it's only 8. Now, who cares about anthropology in a sense? All we're trying to do is create a scatter plot, okay? Like, we want to use this information to find what we call a line of best fit. It's called linear regression, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let me first off let you know that this is your x values, and these right here are your y values. Okay, just like a normal table, right? X, y. So that would be your x and y values. So femur length is x, height is y. Okay? For the problem that you're going to do later on, whatever's in the x column, just label it x. Whatever's in the y column, you label it y. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to Desmos. Look what they say. Part A, make a scatter plot of the data. Okay? So I'm going to go to Desmos and I'm going to create a table. So let's go to Desmos. Now, right here on Desmos, there's a plus sign. Okay? So you're going to click that plus sign. And you're going to see it says Expressions, Notes, Table, Folder, Image. I want to go to Table. Okay? So I'm going to click it. And that's what opens up for me. Okay? Now, I'm going to get the piece of paper that I gave you, the one that talks about anthropology, and I'm going to put in all my x values first, or you could do x and y, it's up to you, but I'm going to put in all my x values first. So 50.1, so let me type that in. I'm going to hit enter. 48.3, 45.2, 44.7, 44.5, 42.7, 39.5, and 38. And that's it. I'm done with the x values. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my y values. Now remember, these are scatter plots. We're trying to create a bunch of points on my graph. Okay? So let's do the y value. So 178.5, 173.6, 164.8, 163.7. Now, normally you would be expected to create an equation based on all these numbers. That's kind of tough, right? So we're going to let the computer do all the hard work for us. 168.3 for my next one. 165, 155.4, and 155. All right, so I just plotted all my points, but I don't see them. What do I do to see them? Because I don't see them on my graph. What should I do? What would you do on your phone if you can't see them? You zoom out, right? Just pinch your screen, right? So, all right, still not there. There they are. Way up there. So let me kind of zoom back in. And there are my points. Okay? They're all right there. Now my objective in this homework is to find a line of best fit. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to find a line of best fit. So what I could do is, try to draw one. I can say like, all right, that might be my best line. Right? Well, maybe it looks pretty good. But how do I know that that's my best line? Maybe the best line actually looks more like this. Right? Maybe that's my best line. Okay? Well, I'm not really sure. Oh, by putting this table right here. But if you don't see them, it's probably because you have to zoom out. I'm zooming out. Notice how I'm in the 150 to 180. So yeah, maybe they're just not on there. So you found them right now? All right, so cool. So I don't want to do the work to figure out the equation of the line, so I'm going to let the computer do it. Okay? Let's kind of work smarter, not harder, right? So here we go. I'm going to go back to Desmos. And this is what I'm going to put. Now, this is in your paper. Look at part B. It says, find and graph a linear regression equation that models the data. And then you notice how we wrote something there for you guys? I'm going to write that down too, okay? Y1. I'm going to literally press Y and 1, and it's going to give me a subscript of Y sub 1. Okay? Now let me get my remote here so I can zoom in. I can't zoom in on my computer for this. I'm going to put it down because right now it's going to give me some information. So, all right, here we go. Now, instead of equals, I'm going to type in a tilde, okay? Shift, next to the 1, it's shift and that button. It's a tilde sign, okay? And then, you guys know the equation y equals mx plus b, right? So you see the number 1? Yeah. To the left of it, there's a key. So hit shift and that key. So, and then m, x1, and then plus b. And notice how it, if you look at your graph, you can't really see it on mine yet. Well, I can probably move over to the side just so you can see it on the zoomed in view. Notice it put the line for me. It's saying, look, this is the best possible line that you can get based on your data. Okay, it did it for me. And it also gave me the equation. Now, you may not be able to see it at first, but let me kind of try to make it a little bit more obvious. You see your m value is right here, 1.9231. Your b value is 80.6809. It just gave me the formula. So what I'm going to do is, let me write down the formula according to what it's doing here. Let me take another screenshot here. So my formula, according to this, is y equal to m. It's right there, 1.9231. I'm just going to use 1.92 x plus b, 80.68. And that's the equation you're supposed to put in that line that they left for you where it says equation. Okay? Oh, am I zoomed in? Sorry about that. Hold on. Well, there's the b value. Sorry about that. But this is the equation you're supposed to put into that line for the one that we did. Y equals 1.92x plus 80.68. And the information was found right down there. Okay? I let the computer do everything. I guess. I had to put in the numbers in the scatter plot, but from there it figured out everything else for me. Okay, I didn't have to do any of the work. So, what do I have to do past that? Because this isn't your homework. You're not just going to turn your paper over, give me that answer, and you're done. Because it says, after you write the equation, it says, go to CUDA Works, right? If you look at your homework, let me show you guys. It says, go to CUDA Works and complete the assignment. Well, it's because there's more questions. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about a little bit more before I get you to go. Okay? So let me write down the answer that we got. Y equals to 1.92x plus 80.68. Okay? So one of the first questions it's going to ask you is, what is the correlation of your graph? So what exactly is correlation? So let me write that down for you guys. And this is easy. Okay, correlation is pretty easy. All you got to do is figure, is it going up, going down, or just everywhere? I'm just going to draw 3 of these little things really quick. Now, positive correlation looks like the following. So let me write it down. Positive correlation. You don't have to do any work, okay? Just so you know, you just got to be able to identify it. Positive correlation is when the scatter plots look like they're moving in an upward fashion. Okay? They look like they're moving upwards. They're growing as you go to the right. That's called positive correlation. So what do you think negative correlation looks like? Yeah, it's going down, right? So negative correlation is just going to look like it's kind of traveling down towards the bottom. So there's negative correlation. Now there's one more, and that one's called no correlation. And no correlation means that it's just hard to tell what's going on. Is it going up, down, like what's going on with it? So there is a no correlation as well. So there's positive, there's negative, and there's no correlation. Okay? The very first question they're going to ask you, I think, if I remember the homework correctly, what kind of correlation is your graph? Okay, so you're just going to have to look at your graph and decide. Now, the graph that we had, what would you say? Positive, right? It looks like it's going up. So that's, there we go. It's positive correlation. Okay, let me make these a little bigger. But yeah, it would be a positive correlation. So, all right, that's easy, right? Identify it and you're good. The next question it's going to ask you is, what is the slope? Okay, so if I were to ask you what's the slope for this problem, what would you tell me? All right, there you go, 1.92. All right, that's not that hard. The next question they're going to ask you is, what is the y-intercept? All right, 80.68. Thank you. All right. The next question they're going to ask you is, what's the equation? Well, yeah, we got that earlier, so I mean, that's not even hard. So notice, this is not hard. The next 2 questions might make you do a little bit of work. Okay? So, one of the questions is going to ask you, so let me just kind of put number 1 here. One of the questions is going to ask you, if the femur, now remember, for your question, it's not about femurs, it's about soft drinks, okay? But we're talking about this one with bone. If the femur was 40 centimeters long, what was the height? So if you look, I don't have a 40 centimeters in that table. Okay? But they say if it's 40 centimeters long, femur 40 centimeters, what letter does femur represent? X or Y? X. So they're saying if X is 40, solve it. So all I have to do is use my formula, Y equal to 1.92 times 40 plus 80.68. And punch that into your calculator. Now, I don't have a calculator up here with me, but I have Desmos, so let's do that. On Desmos, you can calculate stuff. I'm going to get rid of my charts, okay? So I'm going to press X on them. So what was 1.92 parenthesis 40 plus 80.68. And it tells me my answer is 157.48. 157.48. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my notes here. And my height, which is y, is 157.48 centimeters. I mean, that wasn't that bad, right? Just got to plug it in, punch it into a calculator. Now here's the last question you're going to have to answer. If the height of the person was 160 centimeters, find the length of the femur. In other words, find x. So 160 centimeters is supposed to be which letter? B? You mean y, right? I'm assuming that's what you meant, AB. Yeah, it's going to be the y value, the height, right? That's why I labeled it on top. X for femur length, y for height. So that means they just gave me the y value. Now remember, my equation was y equal to 1.92x plus 80.68. They just gave me y. So 160 equals 1.92x plus 80.68. So all I have to do is solve for x. Okay? This is my goal right here. Solve for that letter right there. So to solve for that letter, what do I move first? 80.68. All right, so let's get rid of the 80.68. And again, I don't have my calculator, so I'm going to have to use Desmos. So 160 minus 80.68, that's 79.32. So 79.32 equals to 1.92x. And then my final step, division, right? So let's divide 1.92 on both sides, and I will be done with this problem. So let me use Desmos again. So 79.32 divided by 1.92. That's 41.31. Okay, 41.31 centimeters. And that would be the height of that person. And this is what your homework is, guys. It's not that hard to do. 2 questions are a little challenging, but they're not impossible. All you basically have to do is use Desmos, put in your scatter plot information in a table, write down the equation it gives you, answer the 5 or 6 questions it asks you. 4, I think, will be really easy. 2 of them will be like the ones we did right here, right? Where you got to figure out height in one case, figure out the length of the femur in another one. For you guys, it's going to be soft drinks and what's going to be this stuff? Let's see. The temperature and the number of cans sold. So cans and temperature. So again, temperature will be X. The cans will be Y. Okay? So label that. So that's it. That's what your lesson is for today. Let the computer do all your work for you. All right? So I'm going to stop this and you guys can get started on your homework.